What is going on, everybody? I'm Max Kellerman. Welcome to this Just In, a fast hour around the world of sports and how I and some of my friends see it. That is former NFL receiver Harry Douglas. Sam Acho will join us in a moment, and we start with bad news out of Buffalo. Bills coach Sean McDermott said today that star pass rusher Von Miller has a torn ACL and will miss the rest of the season. Miller's already underwent surgery to repair the injury. Devastating news for a team that started the season as the Super Bowl favorite. Yes, the Bills moved back into the top spot this week for AFC odds, but that could change with the Von Miller news. Miller's 8 sacks this season led the team and is 3 more than the next closest player. As promised, Sam Acho with us. Sacho, I'm going to start with you. Your reaction to this news and what it means for Buffalo.
This is big news. Obviously, Von Miller, Super Bowl MVP. The reason he came to Buffalo was to go and help this team win a Super Bowl. So it's going to be a huge blow. Now, the thing I know about Von Miller, I played against him in college. We came out the same year. He went to A&M, the whole thing. We played the Senior Bowl together. Von Miller is a leader. And the best of Von Miller is going to have to come out. He's going to have to lead some of these young guys like Greg Rousseau, guys like A.J. Epinesa, guys like Boogie Basham, teach them his ways. And of course, there is no other replacement for Von Miller, but if there's a way that Von Miller can continue off the field to train these guys up on how to be better players and make critical plays in critical moments, the Bills will still have a chance. But there's no discounting the loss of Von Miller and what he means for this team on this season.
You know what's so funny about working at ESPN? Like, I'm just a guy, right? And I say, oh, there's Sam and there's Harry, my friend, my buddies. And like, I'm talking about Von Miller. He goes, yeah, I played with Von Miller here. I played against him. I sacked Joe Montana back in the day. You know, man. Like, it's always some crazy. Harry, what do you think?
This is a huge blow, but even though it's a huge blow, it's not going to derail their football team. We got to remember this team was the #1 defense last year. Now, where you're going to miss them, you look at the Kansas City game in the playoffs last year, you have a few seconds left in that game. You need a closer. You need a guy to go sack the quarterback and make sure certain things don't happen that Patrick Mahomes did last year. That's now gone. I like what you mentioned, though, Sam, about Von Miller and his leadership. There's a reason why they brought him in, right? He won a Super Bowl with the Rams last year. He won a Super Bowl with the Denver Broncos. Now he's going to have to be a great teammate. He's going to have to be a leader. Those young guys are going to have to step up and make plays. But also, I think there's more pressure now on that secondary and those linebackers to make even better plays than they've made all year.
He was seen as a tipping point, guys, for the Rams last year, right?
Yeah.
And now this year for the Bills, that edge rusher who makes the difference. And because he was still winning his matchups, right? Like, yep. Even before, like even in Denver, he's a guy who is impossible to replace. When you talk about the all-time team, give me your front 7. Von Miller's on it. He's right. He's one of those Lawrence Taylor, Ray Lewis. You're going 4-3. Who's the third guy? Probably Von Miller. You just lost a first-tier Hall of Famer who's still getting it done.
I will say this: there's some other guys you could probably put in there too. But
Go
Von
ahead.
Miller. No, I'm just saying I'm not gonna
name. I want a name. I want a name.
No, I don't have to give you names.
Well, all right. See, I'll
give
give
me
you
Alden
names.
Smith. Give me Alden Smith in his prime.
All right. I'll take Von Miller,
in
but you
addition.
take Alden Smith. But that's what I'm saying. What's going on, everybody? I'm Max Kellerman. Welcome to this Just In, a fast hour around the world of sports and how I and some of my friends see it. That is our insider, Dan Graziano. Coach Herm Edwards is also with us, and we begin with Odell Watch. Odell seems to be having a great time visiting Dallas. He was seen at the Mavs game last night with Micah Parsons and Trayvon Diggs. ESPN's Tim McMahon was at the game. He asked Odell about the chances the Cowboys sign him, and Odell has responded with a smile and a quote, "It's a good possibility." Here is Cowboys owner Jerry Jones earlier today on OBJ.
We had pretty extensive meetings. I did with Odell yesterday, and we spent quite a bit of time together. Enjoyed every minute of it. We'll get back together today and see where we go from here. You know, these things, there are a lot of variables here. It's got to fit. And I mean that. It really does have to fit for both parties. If this thing works, it'll improve this team now. It'll improve it this year. If we don't have that, then we're in a positive situation as well. It has to improve us now. That's a pretty tall order.
As promised, there's our coach, Herm Edwards. Graz, I'm going to start with you. What's the latest on Odell?
Yeah, you hear in Jerry Jones' voice, right? Like it's not like for a month it's been like we want him. Now it's like, well, it's got to make the team better now. We're already pretty good, so it makes you wonder. What I'm hearing, you hear dribs and drabs. The teams he's visited the last week or so, the knee has to check out, right? Like if the knee doesn't check out and he can't help you this year, then it's possible everyone passes. If the knee doesn't check out to an extent that justifies whatever he's looking for contract-wise, especially if that concludes a next-year component, then it's possible everybody passes. So we could have some clarity on this here this week. Obviously, I think he's done with his visits, but it's conceivable that the knee showed up to the team doctors as something that they just didn't feel like was right, was the way they need it to be in order to justify signing him right now. And if that's the case, we'll know because he won't get signed.
Yeah, given the nature of the injury, it's like we're expecting a miraculous, it's Odell Beckham Jr., miraculous recovery. Coach, what should Cowboys fans expect if Odell does check out and signs with Dallas?
Well, if he's healthy, and Dan mentioned it, and hopefully that's the case because you don't want this guy's career to be over by any stretch of the imagination. And I think what he brings to your team is lots of energy, but also passion. And sometimes the passion he plays with can boil over. But you talking about ball skills, a very competitive player, a good run after catch player. If he does go to the Dallas Cowboys, I'm not trying to run their offense. I'm just a fan. I'm a defensive coach at heart. I would put him in the slot. I'd put him in the slot. And that way it would be some tough stuff. You got Lamb, you got Gallup. You got Zeke, you got Pollard, you got obviously a quarterback that can run. Their offense is already good. You just knocked it up another notch with this guy.
I'll say one thing about Odell real quick, Dan.
Yeah.
Last year the Rams signed him, and it was a luxury. Until the day after they signed him, Robert Woods gets hurt, right? Now all of a sudden it wasn't a luxury. And by the way, yeah, of course, you have Cooper Kupp getting all the attention, and Odell was getting in the flow off of that. However, he was on his way to being Super Bowl MVP. Like, what seems like today's luxury becomes tomorrow's necessity. One injury is all it takes.
Right, and it could happen. Look, I just want to make clear, because I hope that Coach didn't hear me wrong. I'm not suggesting that no one ever signs him. I think the worst-case scenario for Odell here is this goes into the offseason and somebody signs him for next year. The question right now in front of these teams is, do we want to sign him for the next month or month plus if we're hoping to be in the playoffs? That's what they're dealing with right now in those buildings.
Coach, last word.
No, I hear you. There's no doubt about that. I do know this. I'm hoping he's healthy for his sake.
Me too.
I really am. I'm
watch.
hoping he's healthy, yes.
Yet another fourth quarter comeback in the career of Tom Brady. The GOAT trailed by 13 in the fourth, but led 2 late touchdown drives. Really 3, because one got called back, right? Holding. To stun the Saints on Monday Night Football, he passed Peyton Manning for the first most fourth quarter comebacks in NFL history. Coach, you optimistic or pessimistic about the Bucs' chances in the NFC playoffs?
Well, I think they win the division. I do. But if you look at the teams that are going to play here, going down the stretch, they might win the division with a losing record. But with that being said, they're going to host the game, right? Mm-hmm. Well, who are they going to host? If the Eagles win the East, they're going to deal with the Cowboys, right? If the Eagles don't win the East, then they're going to deal with the Eagles, right? They're going to get somebody coming out of that East to have to play at home. And when you watch them play, they struggle scoring the ball. Their defense does a great job of keeping the score within reach. Last night, their defense was outstanding in this sense. They turned the ball over twice and only gave up 6 points. If one of those is a touchdown and a field goal, they might not win this game, right? So their defense has done a nice job of keeping the score close, where Captain America can put his cape on at the end, as he did against Cleveland. It didn't work out, and go down the field and find a way to win the game. He won that game twice last night. Got a foul on the first one and then came back and did it again with less time on the clock. I mean, how about that? That's how good he is.
Exactly. Graz, what's your takeaway from the win last night?
I mean, look, that first touchdown pass, I mean, that holding call was like if you looked up holding in the rule book and there was a picture of it, like it had to be called, and it probably enabled the play to be completed anyway. So But it's alarming because if the offensive line feels like it needs to hold in order to give Brady time to throw the game-winning touchdown pass, which it seemed like they do, then it's a problem. I think early in the game you saw Brady skittish in terms of his protection.